I will be outlining 3 tools that I have developed to aid in my bibliographical research. Each of these builds on a summer Battiston Fellowship at the University of Virginia that aim to understand the differences between French and American books in 1785, so as to shed light on Thomas Jefferson's Notes on the State of Virginia, an iconically American book printed in Paris? Did it look French or American? What does that mean, anyhow? I began, as one often does, with manuscript notes, now lost, and transcribed those notes into a standard form that included identifiers, a transcription, a collational paragraph, and a list of features. The last item, a list of features, is deliberately open-ended because I was simultaneously wading through secondary sources about how books were produced and primary sources of printing history. Notes on a book consisted of several pages of features with references to the location in the book based on the collational paragraph. While this scheme worked, it quickly became unwieldy since I wanted to make comparisons across books. Thus, I began importing the feature list to an outline, which I could use to classify the various observations. Here are the books with their features. Now here are the features, classified into various types. This prototype gave me the necessary design for the FeatureDatabase. Each book links to a catalog record and a list of features. Each feature has associated images, and each feature is further classified, and the classification terms themselves are arranged in parent-child relationships. Thus, a book has identifiers, a transcription, a collational paragraph, and various notes, along with a totally separate tab that records the contents, and another tab that records the feature list. Early on, the features were descriptive, such as waste paper binding or printer's ornament, and each had an image. But as my transcriptions improved, it became easiest to name most features from the transcriptions, and only a few remained as descriptions themselves. This transcription, for example, has several feature classifications associated with it, and one image. Entering into a classification, we can see the features not only of this item, but of several other items, and review all the images together. Classifications themselves have broader and narrower, that is, parent and child, relationships, so we can see sister features of various terms. In this case, 2 line initials going up turn out to be French. 2 line initials going down turn out to be American. This is interesting because a careful reading of Moxon includes instructions for the American way of setting 2 line initials, but not the French. This suggests a continuity of practice between 17th century English books and late 18th century American ones, without substantial influence from French books, just in this one aspect. Of course, relating these secondary sources, like Moxon, requires another tool, CommonplaceBook, which I release on a covenantal model. Every person who uses it, I have personally given a copy to, and I have agreed to support their use of it. It costs nothing, and other than my word, is as unlicensed as possible. In addition to being a tool useful to me and some other people, it's an experiment in scholarship as a gift. Now, my copy expands from this summer project to any reading material that might illuminate 17th or 18th century books that I don't cite immediately in my writing. A book on top gets a free-form citation. Over here, a summary, and notes associated with various locations in the books. These notes are not filed until I create a virtual folder for them. These folders pay attention to where the book's other references are filed and provide a list of associated folders as well. Opening it up, one can then lay out the notes for several books at once across just one topic. In this very way, I had organized interpretive information and primary source information around one project, but I have continued to use both. Lastly, this is my yet-unnamed tool, but for fun, let's call it a digital philological typewriter for gee-whiz value. Like WordPerfect, it operates in show codes mode, which allows me to control my transcriptions and prevent inadvertent changes. It uses a programmable macro system that can function like the fields of a database or a form to be filled out, like how I started the FeatureDatabase at the beginning. But most importantly, it builds the final version based on my commands, so I can use any custom glyphs to represent the actual typographical history of the text. See my recent chapter in Brill, Compositors' Choices in 18th Century Typography. The results are print-ready, descriptions adhering not only to bibliographical standards, but which additionally account for variations in typography in the actual copies I've seen. In the end, all three of these are tools that are related and developed during this project of the 1785 book in France and America, but they're not currently integrated and use a wide range of development languages: FileMaker, eLisp, OpenType, Markdown, Contech, Haskell, and Python. Ideally, these three tools would form one uniform system for documenting the bibliographical features of books. If you're watching this, I'm probably asking you for help with living support to keep working on this. As I mean it to be a gift for scholars, I don't charge for what has taken me personally a substantial amount of time and energy to put together. I'd love to be able to answer more questions using this approach and to give more copies away. Thanks for watching.